If you enjoy this podcast summary, please consider subscribing. Freya India believes that therapy culture has become a replacement for religion, especially among young women. This culture has escalated to the point where young women see it as a worldview, interpreting everything through a therapeutic lens. As a result, young women are more likely to pathologize problems and experiences as medical issues, rather than ordinary hurt and disappointment. This therapeutic worldview gives young women a sense of comfort and security, but it also takes away the inconvenient parts of religion, such as demands on behavior and restrictions on freedom. Therapy culture can be seen as a form of control, where young women try to categorize and diagnose their emotions and experiences. This culture is the opposite of religion, which is about dying to oneself and giving up some of oneself to be part of something bigger. Therapy culture, on the other hand, is about going more and more into oneself, discovering oneself, and finding one's authentic self. Freya also notes that therapy culture is less pro-social, as it encourages young women to focus inwardly and interpret others as obstacles to their healing and mental health. This culture is competing with religion and other alternatives that could provide a sense of belonging and security for young women. Young women are becoming less religious, and their mental health is also declining. There may be a link between the two, and therapy culture may be getting in the way of young women finding alternative sources of comfort and security. Therapy culture can be damaging to young women, as it encourages them to ruminate and co-ruminate with others. Social media platforms like TikTok and Reddit can be rumination machines, where young women can dwell on their problems and analyze them with others. Alternative sources of comfort and security, such as religion, may be necessary to provide a sense of belonging and security for young women. The conversation also touches on the topic of self-pity, which is often disguised as empowerment. Young women are encouraged to analyze their problems rather than taking action, and this can lead to rumination and a lack of actual empowerment. Therapy culture has become tied up with identity, leading to young girls diagnosing themselves with social anxiety disorder and using it as an excuse to avoid challenging situations. The impact of family breakdown on young people is also discussed. Many Gen Z individuals don't have a sense of belonging or community, and they're often left to navigate their problems alone. This can lead to feelings of loneliness and anxiety, which are then exacerbated by the constant stream of curated content on social media. The lack of moral direction and adult guidance is also a significant factor. Adults have stepped back from providing guidance, and instead, young people are turning to online experts and influencers for advice. The modern world has very little to say to anxious young people. We've gotten rid of anything that's considered judgmental or moralistic, and instead, we're left with empty platitudes like "be yourself" and "you do you." This lack of guidance and direction can be incredibly damaging, especially for young women who are already struggling with feelings of loneliness and disconnection. Loneliness is being pedestalized by Gen Z, particularly on TikTok. The message is often that it's better to be alone, that you don't need anyone else to be happy. However, this is a lie, and loneliness is actually a sign of disconnection and a lack of meaningful relationships. This can lead to a lack of resilience and a fear of taking risks. The feminist movement, while well-intentioned, has inadvertently contributed to this sense of disorientation. This is particularly evident in the way parents are now less likely to set boundaries and provide guidance, fearing that they'll be seen as overprotective or patriarchal. The rise of social media has also played a significant role in shaping the lives of young women. Influencers and online personalities are now the role models for many young girls, and they're often promoting a lifestyle that's focused on self-promotion and commodification. The conversation highlights the way in which traditional feminine traits such as modesty and reserve are now being stigmatized. Young women who don't conform to the expected norms of promiscuity and assertiveness are often seen as having a problem that needs to be fixed. The nostalgia for a past time is also a recurring theme in the conversation. Many young people are expressing a desire for a time before smartphones and social media, when relationships and interactions were more authentic and meaningful. Ultimately, the conversation suggests that young women are struggling to find their place in a world that's rapidly changing. They're being bombarded with conflicting messages and expectations, and they're often left feeling lost and uncertain about how to navigate their lives. As a society, We need to recognize the challenges that young women are facing and provide them with the guidance and support they need to thrive. Main learning from video. The discussion centers around the impact of therapy culture on young women, which has become a replacement for religion and a way to interpret experiences through a therapeutic lens. This has led to a culture of pathologizing problems and experiences, rather than seeing them as ordinary hurt and disappointment. Freya argues that this culture is damaging to young women, encouraging them to focus inwardly and ruminate on their problems, rather than seeking alternative sources of comfort and security. The conversation also touches on the topics of social media addiction, the exploitation of young women, and the stigmatization of traditional feminine traits. Ultimately, the discussion highlights the need for guidance and support for young women who are struggling to navigate a rapidly changing world. The key takeaway is that we need to recognize the challenges facing young women and provide them with the support and direction they need to thrive. If you are interested to listen to complete 12-minute summary and unlock detailed insights for each topic discussed in the video, check out quick podcast summaries on Spotify and Apple Podcasts with free trial and later, just for the price of candy. Happy listening.